Thank you very much, Samson. I think that statement or that thinking in itself is the problem that we have as a nation, where we are so taken in with the duopoly of MPP and DC that now the votes of Ghanaians is their bona fide property, and that nobody has a right to touch those votes, that divinely, possibly, God has shared the votes of Ghanaian voters between MPP and NDC so that anyone who made any significant attempt at bringing Ghanaians an alternative in terms of leadership doesn't even have a right to go and touch those votes. They have to go and look for some votes from the sky, and that these votes are sacrosanct. For me, that is really, really problematic. And it is a mindset in our quest for improving government, governance, political leadership and direction. It's a mindset that in itself is a major block to any opportunity or chance for us to shift the trajectory of our political direction.
But you admit many Ghanaians say we need a third force.
Exactly.
Are you the third force?
So now it's emerging. I wouldn't say, But you see, I was going to tell you, right now, when you hit the streets, you are in media, just talk to ordinary people. You don't need to use any particular set of criteria to choose. And then ask them, so MPP and DC election is coming.
It's a lot of despondency.
There is a lot of hopelessness, a lot of apathy. Why? That is a major phenomenon that we need to interrogate. So if you are really in touch with the people and how people are feeling now, if there was any time when Ghanaians truly wanted a change, let's even say simply for the sake of change, it is now. In terms of the partisan nature that the Fourth Republic especially has experienced, and to the extent that now, I had this joke that if you are walking by the roadside and you found 2 dogs or 2 goats or 2 cockerels fighting, depending on the intensity of the fight, you can tell that these are MPP NDC goats or MPP NDC dogs or MPP NDC cockerel. I mean, we're making a joke of it, but that should tell you how bad partisan politics in our democratic experience has taken us, and how much it is now affecting our very capacity to think, to make choices, and to even pick alternatives that clearly will give us a better run for our money. So that statement for me is unfortunate, and it is really, really pathetic. Because
there are some who are saying
to say
the level of the deterioration of the partisanship can be seen even in recent events like the Ameriplan that was taken to Kumasi. Those who brought it were not given any role whatsoever, and the whole credit was given to the president.
When I was on my way here, I was listening to the discussion of my friends here. And I was telling myself, just this Ameriplan transfer alone should be enough for Ghanaians to decide that enough of MPP and NDC. I mean, you can't force anybody to shift their thinking. But we are presenting a case. Alan and some of us are presenting a case to Ghanaians that there is no need for us to sink into this state of despair and hopelessness because we are stuck with 2 entrenched political parties that are not meeting our hopes and aspirations, and yet our hands are in the air in despair. Now, today, by the grace of God, Ghanaians know who Alan Kyerematen is. And fortunately, when you look at the Constitution of Ghana, the power that the Constitution gives to the president is not given to a political party. So even if the president would have come out of a party, once he assumes office, the political party has basically nothing to do with the president's exercise of power. I mean, to the extent that in recent times, We saw in President Akufo-Addo's case, his own party's members of parliament who provide him with the bulk of political support within the government structure. Basically, he went on rampage saying that we want you to change the finance minister. So-and-so is becoming too much. He said, listen, I am the president. You have issues, but I'm sorry, I cannot change him. He didn't even listen to his own party. Of course, he has that the presidential right and the power of the constitution. But you see, this is exactly why today, if Ghanaians are truly concerned about our current situation and the fact that the extent to which MPP NDC, winner take all, that partisan duopoly is restricting our capacity to grow, then it is time. As for some of us, we will just present the issues. I talk to people and they say, Alan, yes, we know Alan is the one that can help us, but would Alan win? And I ask them, if you vote and I vote, Alan has won. If you truly think that there is a need for change, and it is all in the air, and you truly believe that you have confidence in Alan's capacity, because there's a record for you to check. Because Alan cannot win before you vote for him. You would have to vote before he wins.
He's been preaching the all-inclusiveness.
Yes.
Abu Sakara is the big name in there. Who else? I can see you have a list. Who else is in there on this alliance for revolutionary change?
Yes, it's good you give it a chance, because then alliance partners will know that we also recognize the alliance. We are not just carrying on as movement for change, because now it's very significant. You have, of course, Dr. Abu Sakara, who is a very well-known name, a former presidential candidate.
When he contested on the CPP's ticket,
yes,
he was said to have won the presidential debates. But of course, he couldn't win the elections.
Yes.
Please go on.
Thank you. Then you have Bishop Dr. Samuel Noy Mensah of the Ghana First Coalition. You have Mr. Akwesi Adai Odike of the Union Government Movement. You have Mr. Sam Ofori Ampofo of the Ghana National Party. You have Reverend Stephen Ayinsu, Green Ghana Party. Mr. Henry Asante, very interesting one. Mr. Henry Asante happens to be the current National Second Vice Chairman of PNC. And he simply stepped out and said, look, I've been following the trajectory of the proposal, the plan that Allah has put forward. I think it is about time we changed the entrenched duopoly, which is not giving us value for our money, and I am ready to throw in my energies and my strength with you. Mrs. Augustina Kujo, Third Force Movement, and then Mr. Kofi Benibengo of the Non-Aligned Voters of Ghana. That is a very interesting group.
This is 9 in all?
This is 8. Yes, exactly, 9.
9 in all.
Yes.
But there's a statement out there from the Crusaders Against Corruption that they have been included in your list and they are not.
We haven't officially included them in any list.
Emmanuel Wilson, also formerly also of the CPP, right?
Yes, yes. And now Crusaders Against Corruption. Well, he attended the event.
Yes, he's part of those whose hands are lifted there, is it?
Yeah, no, was he?
Okay, there's a crowd there, he's standing there.
Okay. He's not.
Okay.
I don't know whether he is, but even if he is, he hasn't signed.
Okay.
So we have not included him.
So there's no confusion here?
No. But of course, he has shown a lot of interest, especially the principles and the values that the Alliance stands for.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, if you talk about whether we are spoilers, Alan is in to be a spoiler, my direct response to you is absolutely no. Alan means business. In fact, a lot of people don't know that Alan Kyerematen first wanted to stand as presidential candidate for the NPP in 1996. That was the first time Alan showed interest. But for the intervention of late Apia Menka and the rest of them, Alan would have been competing against Professor Dubois, against Dr. Selby, against President Kufuor, and the rest of them at Legon. You know, so from that time until now, Alan has consistently shown that, look, I have something to offer as a person.
But you acknowledge that it's a difficult terrain.
Of course. Here is a case you are dealing with mindset, and you're having to do mindset change. You're having to deal with traditional relationships. You're having to deal with emotional relationships. You're having to deal with support that sometimes doesn't depend on anything but the fact that my family happens to be UP.
Do you believe that the wave that Peter Obi brought into the Nigerian politics,
yes,
which was also thought in a similar way that there were two parties, you can't break into them, and he came with such a surprise, do you believe that that's the kind of face you bring to Ghanaian politics?
When you listen to Alan's value proposition, he says, one of the key sectors of our community, our population, I'm going to focus on, youth and women. As I speak to you now, of the estimated, almost confirmed 16 million voters, 70% of them are between the ages of 18 and 45. Incidentally, a lot of this segment are not so deeply steeped in the political traditions of MPP and this. You can go and check. Their own loyalty, especially the youth. These are young people, a lot of whom have come out of universities, technical training institutions, haven't got jobs. And Alan is saying, you look at my blueprint, look at my track record in government. My focus has been creating avenues for jobs. Even as a minister, I have done so much. But given the fact that the president holds the final back, and that the president can either accept a minister's proposal for a new initiative in a certain particular sector or ministry or not, imagine you Ghanaians, God willing, making me president. Like President Kufuor had a certain focus, macroeconomic stability, some social interventions. President Kufuor has a certain focus, free SHS, planting for food and jobs. Those, I would say, were projects, and they're very, very good. Alan comes and tells you that, listen, my focus is on something that would radically change the foundations of the economy that we are running. Now, when President Akufo-Addo talked about the Guggisberg economy when he was a candidate, and that he was going to change that when he becomes president, I was expecting the kind of change that Alan is talking about now. Something radical, something revolutionary. That is when you would say you have moved away from a Guggisberg economy into a new kind of economy. But to a very large extent, we are still sort of locked.
Give me